Hey everybody, what's going on? It is James here, and in this video I'm going to do a quick breakdown of what I expect on Bitcoin for this week, the week of July the 25th. I'm going to attempt to keep this video under 10 minutes in a new series that I'm going to start calling Bitcoin Bites. So the first chart we're going to take a look at is the US 100 chart, which are basically tech stocks. We can see here that we did have this move down and we did have this move back up in what is very likely a bear market rally before further downside. This was our point of control over the last 200 bars that was sitting around 13,138 or so. And of course we can see there was a little bit of a volume gap here that has now been retested. It is leaving a wick behind. If we put a 200 EMA on there, we'll get rid of the 12 and 26 for now, and just put a 200 EMA on there, we can of course see why we got a bounce, where we got that bounce at. It came down. This is probably a bear market bounce, reacting to the 200, because in the past that had been a really good place to buy. Even going back further than that on the QQQ, it was a really good place to buy in bull markets. However, this is not a bull market. If we put it on the NDX, you'll see what I'm talking about real quickly. We can see that, boom, great place to buy right here. Great place to buy back here. Great place to buy back here. No, not really, right? Further downside. Great place to buy here. No, not really. Further downside. In a bear market, it's just a line in the sand that often gets broke and then further downside, but you do get a reaction off of that level, for example, back here in 2000. So that is very likely what we got. Of course, the reason that I'm talking about the US 100 and the tech stocks is because Bitcoin, in my opinion, is just another tech stock. So it makes sense that it would indeed follow the same path, and that if tech stocks bounced, Bitcoin would also bounce, which is exactly what happened. Now, the reason that we may have seen a bounce in Bitcoin, of course, is because it was retesting the previous all-time high down around $20,000. Hit that level, left a small wick behind, started to move back up, but it is struggling so far. You can see this 200-week moving average. This has actually been a line in the sand on Bitcoin as well. It was a great place to buy in 2018. It was a great place to buy in 2020. Not so much a great place to buy in 2022 as we broke right through it. Now, once you break through a line of support, most people should know that it then becomes a line of resistance, meaning that at this point, if we do move back up to that line, now it's actually up to the bulls to break through that. The bears are going to have the upper hand, especially if you draw what's called a supply box on this chart. All these old tails that were a supply of demand, they've now flipped to resistance and or supply. It looks like that. So it is possible that we do get back up to that level, and of course then get rejected off of that level. If we get rid of that EMA and we add a standard moving average, we can take a look at the 19-week moving average, which of course has been a great line in the sand over Bitcoin's history. It's often a great place to buy in a bull market. It's often a great place to sell in a bear market. For example, all through here, if you were buying, you were doing very, very well. Buy, 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 buy. Buy, 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 buy. See, that's just a great line in the sand. However, once you flip to a bear market, it becomes a great line in the sand for bears. Sell, 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 sell. Break through it. Maybe you buy again. Oh, nope. Break through it. Here's that October 2019 scam pump, the Z pump, that took a lot of people out. Was actually just retesting that 19-week moving average before further downside. You can see that once it broke through again, had the capitulation move, and then again found support back here in 2020 for the big parabolic move up. Found support here in the summer or the latter part of 2021, big move up, then actually acted as resistance through here, big move down. So if we do get a bounce up to these levels, $28,000 to $32,000, we have this whole supply zone, plus we have our 19-week moving average. Those will act as strong lines in the sand and lines that the bulls need to take out in order for me to flip over to the bull side. If we do get above this supply zone, I will have no problem saying that this is a very bullish sign for Bitcoin and it could potentially go much higher. However, I do not think that's going to happen. I think it will get stopped in its tracks if it even reaches that level to begin with. So where are we at on time? We're about 4 minutes in. Let's jump down to a daily chart real quick. We'll go ahead and take a look at a chart that I already have mocked up. So we'll get rid of this and we will get our 50 and 200 on there. So here is our 50 and 200 moving average. Of course, this is the 50 here, this orange line. We did break through it, but we're just kind of consolidating around that line. Bulls really need to establish that as a level of support so they can move up and attempt to run toward the 200-day moving average, which is currently sitting up around $34,000 to $35,000. Again, I doubt it gets there. If it does start to move up, this whole zone here is probably going to be a zone that I start looking for bearish positions. Of course, we did have this big bear flag on the daily chart, which I had talked about well before it played out. looks something like this. The move down, the pullback to the 200-day moving average. You can see it there, and it gives us a breakdown target of $12,173. We consolidated a bit around the 78.6 level, but we've not really established any kind of firm base where we can move up from there. This could potentially end up being yet another bear flag that looks something like this, with our move down looking like this being a pullback, and then our eventual move down taking us down to right around $10,000. So that is the daily chart. If we take a look at another weekly chart, of course, this is the same bear flag here. We can also say this is the 200-week moving average, not exponential, but regular moving average. We did break below it, and it did act as a level of support here. I'm not yet ready to say that this is going to break down or break up. I think it's a coin flip right now. It's not really what I would call a bearish retest because I didn't really move away from it and then come back to it. It really just stopped there and started to consolidate. So a lot of times you'll see that, and of course, you know, it's having trouble breaking through here, but it's not uncommon for it to consolidate a bit more and then finally make that move back up toward that $28,000 to $32,000 zone, but also fill in this gap here on the CME. If we jump down to the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin, we can see that Bitcoin did manage to break back above its 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart. Also managed to break above its 50 moving average on the 4-hour chart, but it is starting to lose support here. Now, that being said, this looks a whole lot like a potential bull flag before further upside. So on the 4-hour chart, there is some hope for the bulls. That would look something like this. If our flagpole starts down around this area, connect it with a magnet, and if this was our peak of the move, let's say that it stops somewhere around this area, that would give us a break up target of around 27,000. Again, that lines up with my belief that we could potentially test $28,000 to $32,000. Of course, all of that depends on the market itself. If the broader markets, such as the tech market, start to sell off, then Bitcoin is going to have a very difficult time moving up in the face of that reality. So this is the, of course, bubble chart. This is Bitcoin versus the QQQ. We can see here, this is the chart that I actually drew up way back in November. We did get our anxiety bounce, and this is the spot that I thought we were going to get our denial bounce, which is this bounce right here before further downside, the capitulation and panic phase. We have not yet got much of a bounce there. It's something. It's about 25% or so. Let's take a look here. About 22%. So it's not a small bounce, but I was really rooting for a bounce more like this, 50%, maybe even 60, 70%. So that way I can start to establish some new bearish positions. Right now, I'm just sitting neutral in Bitcoin. I'm neither in bullish positions or bearish positions. I'm waiting for the market to show me which direction it is most likely to go. Of course, after this breaks up, I expect more downside, but that's more macro picture stuff. For right now, I'm still rooting for that break up, but I don't yet have a setup in order to take the trade. So again, if you want to be bullish on Bitcoin, I think you also have to be bullish on the US 100. So what we really want to see is we want to see that US 100 take out this previous high right here, start to establish some sort of base, maybe even do something like this here, put in an inverse head and shoulders, and then start to move back up, in which case Bitcoin may actually move much further to the upside. But if the US 100 breaks down, cannot find support, starts to fall through this 200 moving average, then I think all bets are off, and I think we're going to see more downside in the near future on Bitcoin. So again, there's lots of stuff I can talk about, but in the effort to keep this video short and to kind of fit into the whole idea of Bitcoin bites, I'm going to wrap up there. Please remember, I am just some guy sitting in a spare bedroom. That means that nothing in this video is financial advice. So you should always go out and do your own due diligence and seek out professional financial advice from a licensed financial advisor before making any type of investment in cryptocurrency, the stock market, precious metals, forex, or any other tradable asset. Make sure to stop now, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon to get notifications when I release new updates. And most importantly, please remember to trade safe. Your number one job as a trader is to make sure that you can come back and trade again tomorrow. This is James with Crypto Common Sense. Thanks for watching the video. I will talk to you in the next one.